Yeah, exactly. Thanks, John, for that intro. It's actually very similar to my intro. So, my name is Kimberly. I am the worship pastor here at PFC, and so I get to lead in musical worship and help plan the services and things like that. And then on some occasions, I get to come and speak. And the singing and the music comes naturally to me, but the teaching and digging into the word and digging into meaning is something that I love doing. I said to my kids this past week, I'm the biggest nerd. Actually, the only probably bigger nerd out there was my mom. But my kids were kind of laughing and giggling at me because I just love learning. And one of the really cool things that I love about preaching is I just get to learn. I get to spend a week in a section and I just get to learn everything that I can about it. And then I get giddy and then I get like really excited. And I was doing a little bit of sermon prep yesterday. And I don't know if I texted you or if I texted someone else, but I was like, I'm super pumped for today because I'm just really excited about the things that I've been learning, and it's really cool that I get to kind of share them with you this morning. So, excitement. I'm also going to take a deep breath because, like, guitar strings snapping, and then having to run out and fix it, and then having to come back in and then sing. And so I'm just going to take a moment and just kind of breathe deep. I invite you to kind of breathe with me, and then I'm going to kind of get into it. So. Okay, so one of the things I love about our church is that each year we take time to refocus into our mission and our vision and our values. So this is a sermon series that has come up, and you're able to kind of go back in the archives and see the different perspectives and see a little bit how our mission and vision and values haven't changed, but how we as a church have changed when we're trying to adhere to them and trying to grow with them. So last week, John spoke about our mission statement, which is that we exist to nurture an ever-leavening deep of God and an ever-broadening love of others. And he reminded us that we strive to allow God's love to dig into our hearts, to dig into our soul, and to dig into our minds. And that when we do that, it encompasses all parts of our lives, and then we can turn around and live that love out every single day in every interaction. We talked about the why of our community. So the mission statement is that why. Why do we do what we do? Why are we PFC? Why do we go and pull out weeds in the back garden that the kids have created? Why do we make coffee on a Sunday morning? Thank you, because it's delightful. Why do we come to this building week after week? And our why is the overarching theme and overarching concept that drives everything that we do. This week, we're going to talk about the how. If what we want to do is to have a community that has a deep love for God and a large love for other people, how do we do that? Our vision statement is up there on the screen. We are friends who become family, who live out our faith, are known for love, and are voices of hope. As I was preparing for this sermon, I started to unpack and pick apart each section of that statement. And what does each section mean? And how have I seen each section come alive in the community that is PFC? So we're going to start with, we are friends who become family. In my class, we learn about my deep hope for my students. And one of my deep hope for my student is to have them know that they are loved by God and then to live that love out. And so the three words we kind of use to phrase it up with the kids is you are made to love. That's something that I started in my class. And so we, in the last week and the week before, because it's only been 2 weeks of school, we started to pick apart, what does it mean to be made? What does it mean to have that to action, that forward action? And what does it mean to love? When I start to define what love is, I like to use some sort of theological framework. And so I use a framework laid out by C.S. Lewis in one of his books called The Four Loves. Lewis categorizes and says that there are 4 kinds of love. Now you would think that I'd be talking about our known for love, but I'm not. I'm getting there. I promise it'll make sense. It'll come all together. But C.S. Lewis says that there are 4 kinds of love. The first kind of love is affection. Now, this is the type of love that you might have for an animal. I love my cat Ellie. She's a terror and a nuisance, but I love her. Or this is the kind of love that you have for people that you just interact with on a daily basis. The person who pours your coffee every morning at Tim Hortons. Or the grocery store clerk that you go to every single week to get your groceries, and it's the same person. Or the person that you see at Shoppers Drug Mart who cashes you out. This is the person that you see, and you just have a basic respect for them. Sometimes that affection can be a little bit deeper, but it just relies on the basic and the familiar. Now, this type of love can sit alongside the other loves, and we'll see that, and I'll kind of explain that as we go, but this is just a basic respect for humanity. The second type of love that he says is friendship. Now, this love is usually connected by something that is a common thread, and it has to be about something. So my examples for that in my life are, I used to ride horses for a time in my life, and I have friends that I only ever see or interact when I'm around a horse. They are my horse friends. We go to horse shows together, and I don't see them outside of horses. That is something, because we're about something. We're about riding together. We're about taking care of the barn together, and that kind of is how that friendship has developed and grown. I also have some friends that I only play baseball with in the summer. Some of those friends have grown to being deeper friendships, but then there's some people that I see them in the summer when I play baseball. We are about baseball. Lions go. Woohoo! And it's about something. C.S. Lewis also says that this kind of friendship it's usually the least celebrated or recognized, but it's also one that we can't live without. It's that deep sense of connection with someone, usually woven through with one thread, kind of entangling into that relationship. The third kind of love is romantic. This is the love that you have for a romantic partner in your life. And this type of love isn't just born out of passion or lust. It's something that's developed, and unlike friendship where it has to be about one thing, that love is actually about the person who's right in front of you. I don't usually go into depths with that one with my grade 7s because they get all like nervous and giggly. But anyways, that's that kind of love. And alongside the romantic love, you can have affection with romance, with a romantic love. You can have friendship alongside of a romantic love. C.S. Lewis says that the fourth kind of love is one that you probably know. I'm going to say the name that he uses and then the phrase that he uses beside it, but he calls it charity. But it's agape love. If I say the word agape, a lot of people I see some head nods, you kind of know what that love is. This is the unconditional love modeled by the Father. It is our ultimate goal in all interactions. We're not always going to make that goal, but we want to interact with, or as we interact with the different kinds of love, we're striving to show unconditional love to people. We're striving to show unconditional love to our friends, to those who we show affection to, and to those who we are in a romantic relationship with. The other 3 loves, the affection, the friendship, the romance, they're all training us for this agape love to grow in our relationships. And C.S. Lewis says that if we play it safe, we're not living like God wanted us to. Now, I have a section of his book here, and I'm going to read it because the words that he uses are so eloquent. He's a great theologian for a reason. But he kind of explains what it's like to allow someone into your life and the kind of dangers in not allowing that love or that affection or that romance or that agape love to grow. And he kind of talks about what it's like when you hide your heart away. So I'm going to read this section that he says. He says, "There is no safe investment. To love at all is to be vulnerable." Now, I looked up the word vulnerable and what it actually means in the dictionary because I'm a nerd. And it means that to be vulnerable is to be susceptible to physical or emotional attack or harm. Doesn't sound fun. Not something I want to sign up for. But he says to love it all is to be vulnerable. Love anything, and your heart will be completely wrung out, and it'll possibly be broken. If you want to make sure that your heart stays intact, you must give your heart to no one, not even an animal. You need to wrap it carefully around with hobbies and little luxuries, avoid all entanglements, lock it up safely in a casket or a coffin of your selfishness. Put it in the casket, safe, dark, motionless, airless. It will change. It won't be broken. It'll become unbreakable, impenetrable, and irredeemable. Now, some of Lewis's depictions are quite jarring, quite scary. Do I believe that if we put our love and our hearts in a box and we store that away and not let anyone see it or feel it or know it, do I believe that it'll be changed? 100%. I have an entire poem that I wrote about a heart that's encased in stone and safe and secure and can't be hurt anymore. But that heart is also very lonely and very afraid. So there's something to be said about hiding away from others and not allowing them to see who you are and to hide yourself away and not love others. But it's going to change. It's going to change who you are. It's going to change your heart. And it's going to change the way you interact with people when you don't let people in. On the flip side, do I think that it's irredeemable? No, not in the slightest. I think that's where C.S. Lewis his words can take it to another level that I don't know that I fully agree with. It would take some work and it would take a lot of vulnerability, but no one's heart, soul, or mind is irredeemable when God's involved. But that's an entire other sermon for another day. I just took a trip with 3 of my girlfriends this summer. It was one of the most amazing trips that I have ever had, probably the best trip that I've ever been on in my life. We went out to the East Coast. I drove, and not only did we see so many things and have so many experiences, but I was able to do this with 3 of my very close friends. And each of these friends are very unique. Each of these friendships have started at different points in my life. Each of these friendships have gone through these types of love. I think I met Susie, we were 15? I was 15 when I met you, but I was 7 when I met Maggie, and then I was in my 20s when I met Jordan. So all different areas of my life. And over the years, our friendship has blossomed and grown. Our friendship has gone from one of just affection to just friendship, where we kind of only ever saw each other in the summer or when I was in school or things like that, or when I went to church with these people. And this friendship has blossomed and grown into one that looks like agape love. It's a friendship that is unconditional. And it didn't happen overnight at all. It took time. It took a conscious decision to do life together and to live alongside one another, and a conscious decision to let them in. And even before that trip, I knew that no matter what I would tell them or any time I called, that they would immediately come to my aid. That is deep and unconditional love for one another that we have. It's something beautiful when you can spend 7 days in a car with the same 4 people and go to the same hotel room and sleep in the same beds, and after 7 days still want to spend so much time together and miss each other and start 5 different group chats on 5 different social media platforms because we keep seeing things and sending them to each other. It's something beautiful that we can say that about our friendship. That's how friends become family. It's not overnight. It's not through travel, although if anyone wants to go on a trip, I'm so down. And it's not through passive means. In our community, friends become family through being intentional, through spending time with one another, through reaching out, and through taking the time to get to know someone deeply and also allowing people to know you. And I've seen it in this church community. I've seen it in this family. I've watched it. I've experienced it myself. I didn't know Bobby and Ethan years ago, and I can't even imagine that I didn't know you and have you guys in my life. And we do things together, and we have traditions now together. At Christmas time, we get together at one of each other's houses to play games with one another. That's how friends become family. I watch the affection in this church family, how Mark every single Sunday goes and gets Lise her tea or her coffee and brings it over to her. That's affection. That's showing care, right? I watch how Marjorie loves on our little ones, and will often, without being asked, go back and grab a little one and say, hey, we're going to go into the nursery so that mom or dad can stay and watch the service. That's love. That's care. That's how friends become family. And I even saw it through COVID, as much as COVID sucked. I loved logging in each Sunday and just saying a hey-o or a good morning to everyone. And we still so desperately wanted to be connected with one another. You could see the love and the care that each person has for each other in this community. That's how friends become family. So at PFC, we strive to be friends who become family, who live by faith. And this one was a little bit tricky for me. When I was thinking about it, what does it mean to live by faith? I did a little bit of research, and I came across this really cool analogy. You guys are all sitting in chairs, right? Right? Thank you, John, for answering. You're sitting in chairs, okay? When you went to sit down in this chair, did you question its ability to do its job? No, you just sat down. Did you question whether it was going to collapse underneath you? No. Probably because we know the function of a chair. We have seen it before. We know what it's supposed to do. Most of the times that we've sat down on a chair, it's done its job. It's held us up. Don't get me started on the time this summer when a chair didn't hold up for me. It was not fun, and it just collapsed underneath me. But for the most part, you see a chair, you know its function. It's been there before. You've used it before. You know how to sit in it. It's going to hold you up. That's what it means to live by faith. We know God. We know his goodness. Most of us have experienced his goodness in our lives. And so each and every day, we live with a quiet confidence that God is good and that God is going to walk beside us. That's not always easy to do, and sometimes we need reminders that God is with us. It's part of the reason why I have the word surrender on this wrist and 220 for one of my favorite Bible verses on my other wrist. I'm a forgetful person. I forget things all the time, and I need daily reminders to let me know that he is there, and he gives them to me, and sometimes it's just as easy as seeing the beauty in creation and knowing that he's there. But every day, he has been good. Every day, he is always there, and every day I can sit in the chair of his goodness and know that he's going to hold me. That's what it means to live by faith. So we are friends who become family, who live by faith, and are known for love. One thing I have constantly heard about people, or from people who walk in these doors, is that they are met with a warm embrace, either physically, I love hugs, you can always hug me, or emotionally, and that everyone is so welcoming and so loving. What an amazing legacy that PFC already holds on to. It has created a space to love others as they come into this place. This vision statement is actually rooted in 1 Corinthians 13. If you have your Bible, I'm going to encourage you to grab it out. Physical or I-ness or digital, totally fine. A few weeks ago, or I think it was like a month ago, when I did my interview with John, I stood up here and we shared a little bit about how I've been digging into this verse at the end of last school year with my students, but we actually didn't get to all of the things that we had talked about, so I'm pretty excited that I get to kind of share a little bit more about this with you this morning. So we know that 1 Corinthians 13 is the love chapter. It's typically the one that's read at many weddings, which is beautiful, but this was actually originally written as a letter and as a guideline for the church in Corinth. And Paul was instructing them on how to interact with one another as a body of believers, but also with the world around them. So in the first little section, Paul is laying out different kinds of people. So he says, if I could speak in the language of the earth and of the angels, but didn't love others, I would be a noisy gang or a clanging cymbal. So I look at that and I say, if you're a great communicator, you know, you're eloquent with your words, but you don't love, your words are going to sound pretty noisy. they're going to sound pretty loud. It's not going to be something that's received well. And then he says, if I had a gift of prophecy and I understood all of God's secret plans and possessed all the knowledge, so someone who's a super smart guy, someone who knows his stuff, the smartest of the smarts. And he says, I had faith that could move mountains, but I didn't love others, I would be nothing. And then the third guy, if I gave everything I have to the poor and even sacrificed my body, I could not boast about it. But if I didn't love others, I would have gained nothing. So this is someone who has everything they ever wanted and everything they wanted and they gave it away, but they don't do it in love. Nothing. Then he starts to describe what love looks like. And this is the section of scripture that most of us know, right? Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. This is unconditional love. Love is patient and kind. It's not jealous or boastful or proud or rude. It doesn't demand its own way. It's not irritable, and it keeps no records of being wronged. It doesn't rejoice about injustice, but rejoices whenever the truth wins out. Love never gives up, never loses faith, is always hopeful, and endures through every circumstance. This is a love that is relentless, and it relentlessly pursues, even in the face of disappointment, even in the face of misunderstanding. And this is the love that we strive to give to others. It's like that charity and agape love. That's a difficult thing to do. That's a difficult thing for me. We're humans, and we're going to mess up, and we're not going to get it right. We may struggle to extend that love to others. I know that I have in many moments, and I've needed reminders to do that. And this doesn't mean that we just allow people to continue to hurt and harm, and it doesn't mean that we allow those behaviors to continue happening, but instead we provide a space for growth, and we recognize that just like me, humans are broken, and humans need the love of God. This is something I'm still working on, but aren't we all? And that's the beauty, that we just get to work our hardest to give that agape love to others. He continues on and he says, when I was a child, I'm going to jump down to verse 11. When I was a child, I spoke like a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. As we grow up and we grow up in our faith, we're no longer seeing things and understanding things as a child. Our understanding grows with us. And then another section that I love in here. Now we see things imperfectly, like puzzled reflections in a mirror, but then we will see everything with perfect clarity. All that we know right now is partial and incomplete. But then I will know everything completely, just as God now knows me completely. Right now, on earth, we get a glimpse. We get a sliver of a picture, and we don't know everything. We don't know if what we're doing is right. We don't know everything. But what we do know, and it's very clear in this section of scripture, is that love trumps all. The beauty is we're not expected to know it all, but we are asked to in turn love others. And when we don't know the answer, respond with love. There's going to be times when we're going to come across a situation where we don't know what's right or what's wrong, but our only response should be in love. And he says these three things remain: faith, hope, and love. And so even when our faith fails and our hope is depleted, love is what remains. Love is what people are going to remember. When we seek to live out of faith and are known for love, we're going to be voices of hope in this world that's filled with disconnection and dissonance and disorientation. And we have a beautiful place here in PFC. We have a unique place where all people are welcome to come and journey towards Jesus, where all are welcome to wrestle and to question and to really dig in and try to understand what the Bible means. We're welcome to disagree when we don't think that something is going right, and know that even when we disagree, we're still going to be met with love. We're still going to be met with an open hand and an open arm. We're a place that provides hope in this world. And I include in this world, in this broken world, I include Christianity in that as well. As Christians, we've gotten it wrong more times than I can count. And we've caused so much hurt in the past. But I believe that PFC is creating a place of hope for a better world, for a better community, and for a better place of discipleship. So as we seek to become friends, to be friends who become family, who live out our faith, who are known for love, and who are a voice of hope, I pray that we remember that love lasts forever. And remember that we have an amazing opportunity to create a beautiful space like we already are for other people and for ourselves to continue on this discipleship journey towards Jesus, where we have an ever-deepening love of God and an ever-broadening love of others.